Hi folks, how are you doing? The third round of this tournament is over, and yes, once again, like yesterday, we had a really interesting round. Lots of exciting and hard-fought chess. Really some amazing games, and they're really spoiling us with not having really these boring draws. So very good. The first game to finish was the one between Alexander Grischuk as white and Armenian GM Levon Aronian with black pieces. Let us see what happened there. It started all with an English opening 1c4, and we reach a very well-known line in which a couple of pieces are exchanged early. This is the Mikenas floor variation in which both pieces are taken on f6 and c3. Now b takes c3, queen takes the pawn, and d4. Really well-known position in this English line, in which, well, white has a central pawn, but his pawn structure obviously is a rather bad one on the queen side. This double c pawn, the d pawn, and here black usually has two options to try to break up this pawn formation, playing c5 or e5. Levon chose the e5 move. White plays knight f3, defending it, developing. Sorry. And now Aronian plays not the most common, most natural move here. Knight c6 certainly has been played, for instance, in a game in which the legendary Korchnoi beats a famous commentator from the USA, Maurice Ashley, in this position. For instance, that's a game which ended up with white's victory, and probably not the most popular move, but certainly playable one with some ideas. The most common approach here is to take on d4. Bishop g5 is a common idea here. Now queen checks, bishop e2, and well, the game goes on. In fact, for instance, Aronian has played this as white lots of times. He, in fact, has beaten, for instance, Kramnik in 2011 with white pieces from this position. So certainly, you could guess he had something prepared with this not very common knight c6 move. Now bishop g5 is played, queen goes to g6 and d5. This is the idea of this knight c6 move. Rather may seem a paradoxical move, but it just is forcing white to play d5, inviting him to play d5 and fixing his pawn structure. Now the knight goes back, and now it's forced for white to play h4, because otherwise black plays e4, removes the defender, and the bishop on g5 would be hanging. Now the knight develops for the second time to d7, bishop d3 attacking the queen, and Levon plays here a risky move, e4. Of course forking two pieces, but neither of them can be taken right now because white is going to attack the the black queen once again with h5. And here we are reaching a crucial point in the game, not turning back point, in which Levon Aronian either misremembers his preparation or mixed up the lines, the move orders. But the fact is that he blunders here. He plays queen f5, which is basically losing immediately. I'm remembering the game in which his opponent, Aronian's opponent, blundered similarly in the candidates this year. It was the game Aronian Mamediyarov, in which Mamediyarov blundered his queen really early. So something similar happens to Levon here. And as Grischuk was stating on the press conference, maybe the last chance to keep playing really with a playable position for black was to play queen a6. And now white takes on e4. Black could take on c4, and here either bishop d3 or knight d2, and well, we have a complex position in which white has lots of pieces developed here and there, and black could take an extra pawn. So well, an interesting complex position. But let's go back to queen f5. That is what happened. And really this is a huge blunder, it seems. Rook h4 is just stating that black queen really doesn't have squares to go to, and white is simply threatening to put the rook on f4 and trap the queen. And really there is no reasonable defense to this, so Aronian is forced to sacrifice the queen. He takes on d3. Now rook f4, knight c5 to take at least the rook back. Rook takes, bishop takes f5. So well, these are two pieces for the queen, a rook and the bishop. Probably enough not to resign the game immediately, but most probably not enough to have serious chances to draw this game against a very strong GM like Grischuk. So well, the game was played still for some time. Now white still has to coordinate his pieces and see what he's going to do. What's his plan to just convert the advantage. Now he plays knight d4, attacks the bishop, which goes back, and Grischuk plays king f1 with the idea of maybe checking this king input and put him into some pressure, some trouble. Aronian avoids this, playing bishop d6. Now if white checks, the king can go to e8, f8, sorry, and the rook may go to e8. So Grischuk wants to exchange pieces with knight b3. Obviously he has the material advantage, and the more pieces he exchanges here, the more easier will the victory be. f6 was played, an intermediate move. Bishop goes to e3. Now Aronian plays b6. He just cannot keep avoiding piece exchanges, so he takes. White takes here on c5, he takes, and queen takes the pawn on d3. Black castles, and okay, well, now white has a queen and a pawn for the rook against the rook and the bishop. Well, considering Alexander's tendency to get into time trouble, Levon could have some tiny practical chances to hold this somehow, but the position is really difficult one. The material imbalance is really a great one. Queen plays to d2 now, controlling dark squares. Bishop e8 is attacking the pawn on h5, h6, and g5. Controls f4, and makes here this pawn a really curious one, which could be both weak if black is able to surround it and take it, but also is cramping black king's position. So that's a curious pawn there on h6. Queen goes to b2. The threat is probably to go to b7, attack both a8 and a7, winning a pawn. So bishop back to d7, communicating rooks. Now the queen goes to a3, and really there is no way to defend this pawn on c5. As you can see, the material advantage gives white the opportunity to create simple threats, and black just cannot do that much to defend his pawns. Rook f8, and the bishop was taken. Now Aronian sets up a little trap here. Bishop h2, of course, you're not expecting the top GM to fall for this, but you never know. And trap here would be if you want to trap the black bishop on h2, you say, hey, I'm gonna win it with on the next move with king g2. The problem with this move is that black is checkmating white in just one move with bishop h3. All the squares are covered, so that wouldn't be very nice for white. Instead, Grischuk plays rook e1. Now bishop f5, threatening to check on d3, winning the rook. But first, white can take here with check. Rook takes. Black keeps threatening now a nasty check here, which in fact would be checkmate. Check on d3 would be checkmate right now, but bishop e3 just covers that threat. Now king f7, king goes up, e2, bishop e5, king d2, and bishop g4. Well, trying to control squares, trying to do something, but at this point you can imagine this is really difficult. Just white just takes the pawn on a7, plays simple chess, keeps his king out of danger. Black goes for the pawn on a6, a4, king takes a6, but a5, and this pawn is just running. White has all kind of resources here. The last try to complicate the game, Aronian plays c6, d takes, but here, I mean, he went rook c8. One may think that rook d8 check was his original idea, maybe, but now white can play either king c2, which probably isn't very dangerous, or bishop d4. It's defended with the pawn, with the queen, so nothing really that much to do here for black. After rook c8, just f3 and g4, chasing the bishop away. Bishop e6, now queen e7 is attacking the bishop again. Black took here, but after the devastating bishop d4, Aronian just had enough. He just resigned the game. Why is this move so strong? Well, the point is that black king is really caged up here on the h file, and well, let's say black just gives a check, king goes here and it goes back. Can he? Well, really he can't, because the simple combination bishop takes e5, f takes, and white is checkmating black king. So adding these to all the problems that black already had was making no sense in keep playing. So Aronian resigned the game and scored his first defeat of the tournament. And Grischuk has 2 out of 3. And well, let's see how the rest of the games went on. Thanks for watching.